Hey guys, it's Nigel with Taylor's Atelier. Today I'm going to show you how to prepare the trousers for the original hem. Okay, so you want to be able to put the pants together like this, and then you want to be able to bring the both pieces together. I'm just going to grab a chalk real quick. Once you put the two pieces together, sometimes the pants is a little bit long and short like that. That's okay. That just determines that maybe one side of the hip is different. On average people, I tend to just make it equal. So I'm going to find the mark to the bottom, which is the main mark. If there's a lot of indifference between this line, then you want to make sure that these two lines matches, and then you want to use the bottom line and ignore the fact that it's uneven. Okay, guys? So I'm angling the hem at an angle to carry the natural shape of the original jeans. This is the Lucky brand jeans, so you want to try to follow the same exact shape. Now, let's cut it. Are you ready?
Yes, but my question is, how do you know if these are ever even if you buy them new or not?
It's almost better to follow this. That's what I'm saying. So sometimes the denim is what's uneven, so it's better to follow the marks that we fit today. So these marks are exactly 12 inches from the ground.
Got it.
And when I put the pants on the customer, I am able to pass my hands, make sure that the fabric is all the way down. And once the fabric is all the way down, then I put these marks using a ruler, so I can tell this is the ground. So this pants will be half an inch off of the ground when the job is done. And I like to do it all the way down so I leave room for shrinkage. Okay, wow. So let's cut. We're cutting the both lines in the original hem. On the regular pants, we would have left another inch, but on the original hem, we want to cut it exactly on the line. Make sure we're not cutting the hem, the original hem. Cut all the way through. Then we want to take the fabric, turn it inside out, and then quarter inch away from the folded part of the hem, from the original hem, quarter inch from that seam, quarter inch away. I do it, by averaging, but it's exactly quarter inch away from the seam. You want to put a little snip by folding it over, and then you want to follow the stitch all the way through, just like that. Can you pass me a blade? Okay, that's one. Keep it here for me. And here's the other one. Let's do same thing again. You want to fold it over, give it a little snip like that, and then be careful when you come over the hump. So you can pull the scissors back and put a little bit of pressure on it like that. Same thing again, pull the scissors back. Be careful not to change the angle of the scissors when you're carrying the cut through. Sometimes that could happen. So these are the pieces that could come off. Then we're going to take the blade and we're going to slip it between the fabric. Don't angle it because you can cut. And if you cut, then you'll put a hole on the right side and that'll just ruin the opportunity to get a good seam. Take your time. If you use your fingers like this and you pull on the fabric, it will make sure that the blade slides perfectly between.
Is there a name for that noise that's made when you cut the...
I have a whole group of people who log on to my videos just to hear that noise. There's a whole group of people who love to hear that cutting sound. To me, it's just the sound that the thread make when it cuts. And we're not going to put any ideas in anyone's head. So again, be very careful when you come over the line. Take your time. Don't twist the blade. It's very important. And then we're going to clean it up one time as we're here. We're going to clean out all of the threads from the original. Now, you can take a seam ripper and you can do that to prepare it. But if you really want to do it fast as I'm doing it right now, And my idea for preparing these videos is to give you an opportunity to, first of all, do this at home, but I want you to become so proficient at it that you could make a career out of doing alterations. Alterations is a fast-growing job opportunity for a lot of people. And if you want to learn the art of alterations, that's what I'm calling this program, the art of alterations, you could actually learn by simply following these videos. Okay, so it's all cleaned up. Make sure to take off all the dust. And now we're going to go to the machine. When we get to the machine, first, we're going to measure the distance, because when I took off 1/2 inch, the width of the pants got a little less because we went up. The pants is wider to the bottom. So I want to measure the distance by pulling it like that. I'm going to match it and give it a little pull. And on the table, I could determine that this much has to come off. I'm going to transfer that mark right onto this other one whilst I'm on the machine. And then I'm going to take the original hem that we cut off, the seam that matches from the previous, and make sure that I could bring it to match exactly here. And then I'm going to stitch it around with black thread, and then I'm going to use the gold thread that we took off and put it back on the top of the seam. Okay, come on guys, let's go to the machine. Okay, I went ahead and I threaded the machine in black. Try to fix the light for you. And then, okay, so let's reattach it. First of all, this is where you have to be careful. And if you attach it and it doesn't match perfectly, then I would advise that you take it out from under the machine and restitch it. Something that can help when you sewing it is to remove a little bit of this fabric, because it reduces the thickness of the seam. Okay, so here we go. First of all, we are going to remove the extra fabric. Remember I showed you the line on the table a minute ago where I drew this line right here? So that extra fabric has to come out first. I'm going to put it under the presser foot. Make sure and tack it. It's very important to tack. That's when you go back and forth on the machine here. And you want to stitch it all the way across. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other piece prior to bringing it to the pants. It's very important to make sure and tack. Because if you don't tack, when you're attaching it to the pants, then it separates and you don't want to have that problem there. I'm going to cut out all of the extra fabric. I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch. That's the regular seam allowance. I'm going to remove the original 1/2 inch width that the factory left. Then I'm going to attach now. Remember, this original line must match here as close as possible. So I like to say your pants will be 90% original, because all we're actually doing is taking the original hem that was on the pants. And the reason why we saved the original hem is because there's a slight discoloration that an artist in a factory would have taken the time with a stone to rub this edge out. And if I fold the pants under like that, you lose that edge. So that's why a lot of people would spend the extra money to have the original hems attached. And this technique that I'm teaching you right now is one of the most sought after techniques. So if you notice, I came maybe 2 inches down, but I'm back here to check. Take a zoom on that. The lines must match. They must match perfect, all right? And then we're going to continue to stitch all the way through. Take your time. And this is very important also. I want you to have a look at this. I'm going to put the needle down. My stitch is not on the exact original stitch. Instead, it is 1 millimeter or maybe 1/2 centimeter over from the stitch. I don't want you stitching on the original stitch. I want you stitching a little way over, and you will see why that is very important in a little while. So I'm stitching. Then when I get to this seam, I want to match this seam here also. If we didn't cut out that extra fabric, guys, you wasn't going to be able to get these seams to match, because the width of the pants reduced as you took it up. Okay, so we're going around the line. Okay, so this is done. Let's just flip it over and have a peek. Let's reattach the other one, because this is the job that should take you in your home probably 30 minutes. An efficient tailor should be able to do this task in 15 minutes. Or I removed a little piece of fabric on the inside to reduce the bump, and I'll explain to you when we get to that how important cutting out that little bit of fabric. Some people leave it on the inside, but it's better for you to cut it out because the fabric gets very thick at this point, and then when you're putting the top stitch back, it can break the needle. So you want to reduce as much fabric as possible so that when you come to that particular step in the producing of the original hem, all of the extra fabric is cut out. Okay, so here we go again. Remember, you're going to stitch about 1 inch, and then you're going to come back and you're going to check that your lines match up perfect. Listen, I've been doing this particular task for many, many years, and I still miss the seam sometimes. Sometimes I might look away whilst I'm doing the line, and I would stitch it and it would be uneven. So I recommend that you take your time and you stitch it. And don't forget, again, I'm about to remind you, stitch slightly over that line, because when you flip the fabric over to the right side, you want to be able to have just sufficient of the original discoloration to be seen. Here we go. We're moving on with this stitch really quick, don't you think? Okay, so that's with the black thread. Now we're going to change the thread on the top, which is the top needle. We're going to replace it with the color stitch thread that is closest to the original. I like to tie the knots like this. I grab the boat and I make a loop and I tie it like this, and then I grab it out of the needle and I want to pull it out of the machine. It will reduce the time that you take to thread the needle and all of that stuff. It's a faster technique to utilize this particular skill. In one of my videos, I'll teach you how to thread the sewing machine. I recommend, if you actually want to learn how to be a alterations master, I recommend that you buy a Juki machine. The 8700 or the 8100s are just as good. So now, I want to show you guys this. There's the original hem. It was reattached to the pants. And then I'm going to give it a little pull. And I'm going to make the original fold. And then I'm going to fold it under like that. So as you can see, we're almost done. We just need to reattach the top stitch. What's very important, guys, is this part right here. It's very important that you get a tool, maybe a hammer. I tend to use my scissors and give this part a little tap here. It helps to flatten out this area. A lot of people don't do that, and then when you put it under the needle, it's a heavier bump, and sometimes you break the needle. You want to start a little bit beyond the exact seam. You want to sink your needle, make sure it goes down. You want to prepare the line by making sure it's folded over on the inside. You don't want to stitch it like this. You want to make sure that you're covering the line all the way over. Take your time. You could roll the presser foot over, or you could just run the needle over the edge. Again, you want to go back and check. Make sure that you're on the line. It's very important that you don't have to do this 2 or 3 times by always checking your stitch. Don't finish the whole pants and then have to go back to correct it. I prefer that you check it along the path and you make sure that the stitch is being placed in the right production position. Okay, so I fitted this pants 1 inch off the ground, but I finished the pants 1/2 inch off the ground because I want to leave room for shrinkage on this trousers as she wears this pants. Can you see how perfect this line is matching up on the inside here, guys? It's going to look It's going to look beautiful when it's done. And she's going to have the original hems simply reattached. To take your time, stitch over the line, hold the needle, make sure you're running on the edge, you're running on the top edge, and you're forcing the fabric flat as you stitch. This technique, it's the best way to reattach the original hems, hands down. I'll tell you why. The old way they used to do it would leave the raw fabric on the inside, and when you flip the pants inside out, guess what you would see? You would see this huge piece of fabric on the inside. My technique is very simple. Look at that. The jeans look like it was never cut until you come really close up. Let's stitch the other side. You're going to get a chance to see it one more time. And then we're done. I think we're hitting on 10 minutes almost.
15.
15 minutes so far, guys. We're moving at the speed of light. The average tailor would charge you $30 to $40 for this particular task. If you can do it for 15 minutes and become efficient at doing it, then you could become the alteration tailor who's doing all of the original hems in a particular company. Okay, so let's take the stitch. Again, we're going to walk the needle over the bump. You don't want to run the needle on the bump like that. You want to take your time, and then you want to carry the stitch. Keep your eyes on the thread. If the thread breaks, you want to come back and you want to restart it, because you don't want to have the needle showing as if the thread, you don't want to have a start and stop. You want to have a nice clean line. So I recommend that if the thread breaks, don't be lazy, guys. Go back, take that full thread out and restitch the complete line. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the work that I do, and when it comes to teaching, I want to make sure that you learn the technique the best way versus learning it incorrectly. And that's very important to every lesson that I teach. Reattaching the original hems to the pants keeps the original look. It keeps the discolored look. I recommend, if your pants has a discolored look in the bottom of the hem, that you make sure and you always ask your tailor to reattach the original hems. So we're coming up on the end. I want to make sure that the needle matches the previous marks. And here we go. I'm going to cut off the extra thread. Last but not least, we're going to walk back to the iron and we're going to give this a little press. Whilst you're on the machine, clean off all the extra thread. Let's give this a little press on the iron right now, and you're going to see how clean this is going to look. I like to take it and put it on the horse. That's what we call this, or the pressing. It's a pressing tool. Give it a little pull. Look at this up close, guys. Look at this. Look how clean this lines look. Nice and clean. It's 90%, I like to say, original to the original look. I want to put it on the table and I want to flatten it out. Had I not removed that ½ inch of fabric on the width and I had tried to force that back in, then the hem would have been pushed out. So you want to remove the extra fabric so that the hem is not pushed out. You want to flat press it like that. Never rub the denim when you're pressing the denim. Always flat press it by pressing down. So you never want to get on the denim and press it like that. I've seen tailors do that, and what that does is, because this fabric has elasticity in it, it stretches out the fabric. It stretches out the fabric. So you want to always flat press it, flat press it. Make sure that all of the lines looks nice and clean. I'm going to hold this pants down to the ground for you guys to see this, right? Give it a little dust off. From there, the jeans look like it was never touched. That's how it's done when you're reattaching the original hem on a pants. And if you follow this video step by step, you go back, you re-look at the video, and you repeat what you saw, you would be efficient in reattaching the original hems on your pants. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Original hems. Original hems. Bye-bye.